Hey everybody, welcome to Tea Time with Amy and Bev.
Good day.
Hello, hello. So look at my little bucket here. Isn't this cute?
Oh, that is cute. Very colorful.
Isn't that cute?
It is cute.
Look at that. It's a paint can.
Nice.
This is stuffing, it's just paper, but it's a paint can. Somebody decorated. It was my one of my buddy gifts. And they put the gifts inside and I thought that was super cute. Super easy idea too.
Yeah. And it gives you a lot of ideas towards you recycling and reusing stuff.
Right. And it's so simple.
Which is so funny because I was just watching a video yesterday. I think they're called flagship homes, something like that. I was looking I like the idea of underground homes. I like the idea of cave homes. I like the idea because you regulate temperature and you cut out a lot of the frequencies and it's just different. But I want to find things that look like they're not a cave underground, that you're getting good lighting and stuff in. So I've been looking at a lot of stuff, and they had these homes they were building, and they're using recycling tires. So you can't see it from the outside, and then you think about the size of a tire, you've got that much insulation, or that much insulation, and then they're loading it full of dirt, and then they're putting walls up around these places, and how they were making air conditioning and stuff like that without using an air conditioner. Just so many different crazy things, and then you show me that because it's just another good way of utilizing what we have already. So like for me, for the plastic bags, I always use them I have cats. So if I clean litter boxes, that's what I use the bags for. I also use them. I have them in the truck. So Vivi, my granddaughter, likes to pick up trash. So she helps me so when we're driving, and if I stop somewhere, I'm grabbing whatever trash is around me. So I've got, the grocery bags to fill them up full of trash so I can throw the trash away. So it's just like all these things we look at, we just don't think a lot about, but there's so many ways that we can, that we can contribute. It's not that I'm going out to pat myself on the back that, hey, I picked up some trash, but it's just like, it's paying attention to those things, right? It's just paying attention to, it's all intuitively guided. It's spirit guided. Going to the next part. I'm driving to town Saturday because I had a couple of clients to see. I haven't even told Freeman this, but I'm driving to town and I'm coming the back way. And for some reason, my appointment was set. I usually see my first one at 9:30 on Saturday. I used to see her at 8:30. And for some reason, I woke up early. I'm done already, right? For some reason, quotation marks for if anybody was just listening. and I'm like, I'm already done. So I'm going to contact my first one, like, hey, do you want to come in at 8:30? And she's like, yeah, that sounds great. So I'm like, okay. Moved to the next one. I asked the next one if he wants to come in a little bit earlier. Yeah. I'm like, okay, well, let's do this. I'm driving in and there's a woman that's walking on the road, and I'm over by the airport. So there's not a lot of places, homes or anything around here. And she looks like she's hot. And this is, and it's early in the morning, but it's still warm outside. And I pass her and she's wanting to get a ride. And it's like, I get to the stop sign and we ask our intuition and we ask for this guidance because I thought I could pick her up, but I got to get to work. I'm already a couple minutes behind, right? I'm thinking a couple minutes behind, but when I look at the story after it's all played out and I've made it to the office, I realized I was never behind. I was exactly on time for this person that's probably asking for help. Maybe she asked, God, I need help or something like that. Who knows? And then I just happened to flip around because inside me turned me around. Like, it's like, nope, we're turning around. And I went and asked her, and I just pulled up and asked her, where do you need to go? And she said, I just need to go to the gas station. And I said, okay. And then she gets in the vehicle and I said, but I already had sheets and everything in the front seat. So I scooted the seat forward and had her sit in the back seat, but I put the air on her so she could get air. And just talking to her, and it's like and then she's talking about a relationship that she's having. She didn't say anything that happened during the relationship, but I would imagine it probably wasn't good. Because she asked me, did I see a man walking? I said, no, I didn't see anybody else. You're the only person I've seen on the road walking. And because she kept looking back, and not like she was in fear. It wasn't like, and it doesn't even matter, but it's not like I smelled alcohol on her. There was none of those kind of things. I could just tell she's probably living out kind of like we do. Maybe she doesn't, maybe she has solar for air conditioning. Maybe she doesn't. I don't know. But I just knew to pick her up. And she said, we've been together for I don't even remember what it was, like 32 years or whatever it was. And she says, we hate each other a lot of times, most of the time these days, or something like that. And I'm thinking, that's interesting. And then I hear a conversation. I said, yeah. I said, sometimes it's just easier to stay, you know, where we're at because it's familiar. We know what it feels like. And she says, yeah, that makes sense. And then she said, but it's hard because, you know, because I'm in love, we're in love with each other too. So it's like this whole give and take, right? This whole, but I hear her conversation. And so we were talking and stuff. And then took her to the gas station and she says, do you by any chance have a couple of dollars? And I said, well, I'll have to check because I don't know really what I've got. And I looked in there and I did have $2, but I had a $5 bill. So I just took out the $5 bill and handed it to her for her to go. And she's like, are you sure? And I said, yeah, because otherwise I wouldn't have done it. So Freeman's always saying they're Chuck E. Cheese tokens, but it's like, you know, it's back to the whole intuitive thing. It wasn't something, if I would have stopped and rationalized this, I would have talked myself out of everything that I did. Everything. I wouldn't have picked her up. And she, you know, she could have walked. It's a kind of a quite a ways to get to a gas station from the airport. But I know there's also a restaurant out there. There's things out there. But it's not a matter of all that. See, that's the rationalization I'm talking about. We have these ways of talking ourselves out of things when intuitively my guidance was saying, go pick her up. I watched the person that passed by her and then like swerved way away from her to keep away from her and keep going. And it's like, she wasn't meant to be like treated like she's a speed bump or something to get away from her. She needed to be seen regardless of whatever she shared because it was very minimal. And I just sat with the energy of everything and felt what it felt like. And it's like, it wasn't for me to be in that space of judgment. It wasn't in that space for me to be in a judgment of myself or like, what the hell are you doing picking somebody up off the side of the road? It wasn't any of that kind of stuff. It was just intuitively, I was guided to do these things. And then I get a message from the person that's supposed to meet me at the office. And she says, I'm on my way. And I said, me too. And it's like, because she was a little bit behind on the schedule too. And we think that we're behind, but we got there about the same time. So it was all divine. The whole thing was divine. And I was safe. There was nothing that happened or was bad or was wrong or anything like that. So it's like, it's really taking the time to listen to our internal guidance, which is speaking louder and louder and louder for me. I think it's because I've been doing like detoxes of the body and stuff, because I'm having dreams all night long. When I'm meditating, it's just like a natural flow. It's not something I feel like I have to do. It's just a natural thing. Before I kept thinking I have to do this and I've got to put it on my schedule to do this. No, I didn't. It was just something that was maybe like my spirit guiding me to like, this is what's going to be the next step. This is why it's going to be the next step. Because last night and each time I've had a lot of these meditations anymore lately, I'm seeing faces of people I don't even know who they are. So I know it's not spirit. It could be spirit. It could be another parallel reality. I don't freaking know, because this is where I'm learning at. But I'm hearing words. They're not voices that I'm familiar with, but I'm hearing these things. So it's being in this space that we're all in right now and growing, and all these things are going on around you. But if we keep ourselves so busy, you don't notice these things because you can't. Just like you can't, if you can't take the time to listen to your own emotions and feelings, how can you possibly hear anything beyond this vessel that we're in? So it's like, there's the intro for today, I guess. I don't know. That's been the experience in the last 24 hours.
That's pretty cool. I went on a trip last weekend to southern Arizona, and we were intending to leave at 8:30 in the morning to head down. And the lady that I was going to follow, I was taking my vehicle and I was going to follow her. She said, well, we're going to leave at 9 because I have to do something and I have to pick somebody else. And I said, okay. So we met at one of the grocery stores and then we headed out from there. Well, on our trip out, the turnoff that we would typically take to go south was shut down, blocked off. So we had to take a longer route to get to where we wanted to go, which was okay. And of course, my immediate thought was, everything happens for a reason. Even when she said, oh, we're going to leave a little later, I was like, there's a reason. I knew right then, I'm like, there's a reason. was and that turnoff was shut down for several hours. Well, what I found out was later was that two semis had a head on, and it
Wow.
was a fire, and it was a fatality, like all the things, right? And I'm thinking there's a reason. And I, like I said, I just knew in the moment she said we're going to leave a little later. I'm like, there's a reason why we're leaving later. Whether that was the reason, or we avoided that, or whatever it was, doesn't matter. There's a reason, right? So it just kind of goes along with what you're talking about, is that intuition. Our intuition is huge when we decide to trust it. There's a lady that I send a birthday card to she lives in Valley Vista, and I send a birthday card to her every year, and we worked together for a little while, and we hit it off. We're both Cancerians, and so we got that connection. And I have it on my calendar because I give myself like 2 weeks before somebody's birthday to make sure I get the card and send it. It's my reminder. So every day, like, I'll move the reminder to the next day. So it was on, I think it was on Thursday. It was later in the week, this past week, that I bought the birthday card. So she's been on my calendar, and I bought the birthday card, right? So going through the motions, and we had a big downtown celebration on Friday. And I was walking, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go this way. And I went up partial block and checking out what was going on and everything. And I started to go back to the direction I was going. And I like, oh gosh, I gotta go this way. So I went down the other side of that block, and guess who's there? It's this lady. I haven't seen her in over a year. I probably haven't seen her in a couple years. And here she is. And that is not a place, because this was huge, like thousands of people were there. That was not a place I would expect her to be, by no means, because she's a homebody. She likes her home. And here she is. And it always, I believe in it. I know it to be true. I trust in it. But every single time I'm in, not shock, but surprise of when things like that happen.
Yeah. It's amazing.
And the
It
divine
seems
timing. And then I'm sorry to cut you off, but then later, like, we chatted for a good 10-15 minutes, catching up and everything. And then we went our separate ways. She was there with somebody else. She had to go meet him, and I had to go do some stuff. So we went our separate ways. It had to have been a good hour and a half or so. And here I come walking down the block, and here she comes from across the street. And I'm like, what are the odds twice in one night we're going to run it? And she goes, I was just thinking about you. Amazing. So
what's amazing as well is Freeman and I were just having this talk sitting on the front porch this morning. He was talking about, because this is stuff that he grew up knowing, right? And it's like a lot of us didn't know that. And it's like, I grew up here in this town, and the environment that I was around. So it's like, I told him, I said, the most we ever talked about any of this type of things happening was like, or spirituality, was ghosts. You got, touching their feet and freaking them out. And when you're a kid hearing that stuff, you're like, nope, we're cutting this all off right here and right now. Nobody's allowed in my space. But also going up to a party. It was a family gathering in the Wallapies, and I remember someone bringing out tarot cards. And I was old. I may have been a very young adult at that time, and being like totally like wow about it before the internet. So we didn't have all that stuff to go doing the searching and all that stuff for this stuff. So I didn't know how to follow those kind of passions, because living in town, we didn't have any of those kind of shops here, not that I was aware of. But he said, like, when he was younger, that they knew that they could, if they focused on the person, the other person would call him and say, were you just thinking about me? So because they could telepathically, and we do this all the time. I did it this morning with him, thinking about him, because I was still lazing in bed. It was like 6:30, so it wasn't really lazing. but just laying there thinking, and I thought about him, and then a little bit later he came in and gave me a hug. And it's like, that's kind of what I had kind of sent out at the same time. And it's like, we don't realize until we slow down enough to pay attention how much we have control over so many things. And it's not saying we have control over another, because they have free will. They could decide not to respond to you popping into their head, because if we recognize when someone's popping into our head, it's because they're thinking about us. Now, if we're thinking about them, now we've just popped into their head. Now it's their opportunity, whether they want to pay attention to it. Maybe they're busy. Maybe they're playing June's Journey or something, some game on the side, and not paying attention to all the, everything else that's going on around. But this is a full-on conversation we had this morning, even paying attention to the intuitive messages they would get. Him telling other people like, hey, listen, you need to go park your vehicle for the next 24 hours, and them not listening, and their vehicle basically the whole side being gone. Or, noticing when you hear certain, when we have certain reactions or say certain things, it's like, why did I say that? Stop and pay attention. Why did you say that? Because there's a message behind that. That's spirit flowing through you, your soul speaking through your vessel. And we just don't pay attention sometimes. So pay attention to what's being said, or why did I all of a sudden make a siren sound, or, just being in awareness of all that kind of stuff, because that's what we were talking about. And it's awesome that he was in awareness of that at a young age. So can cultivate that, or can just recognize the power that each one of us hold within inside of us, that we're never separate, and that we're always reaching out. And even if the person isn't here, whether it's in the physical or even they're across the planet, you're still, there's no disconnect. I mean, you can get a hold of them that quickly, faster than a phone.
Yeah.
Which is so funny, because even the last group that I had, we were talking about things, and it's like the girl was talking about how she was trying to find these words to convey to this message to this person. And I said, that's where I want people to stop and take a look. Like, we're always we have these spiritual experiences, and then we want to define them. We want to put them into words so we can share it with someone else. And I said, but maybe there's another way, because we keep hitting roadblocks. Instead, we keep trying to find new words to add to, like, try to describe the experience. And like, what if it is just simple as touching the person's face and being in that emotion, like reliving all that experience with inside that person. Now you're sharing it with the other person, touching their hand. We've seen it, you've seen it on movies and stuff like that. But what if that is the way? What if there is a way beyond that? But we get so focused on our games and everything else that I've stepped away from, because it's like I'm putting my time into someone else's creation when I could be creating my own stuff. So my focus is on creating the things that I want in my life. What do I want in my life? What foods do I want in my body? And I know that I'm being guided this way. It's not, these weren't my thoughts, because then I started looking for tallow, and then I'm looking for things that are, unvaccinated and no antibiotics and no hormones added, and, grass fed and grass finished, meaning that it's fed grass the whole time. They're living off the land the whole time, and they're finished off the land the whole time. They're not giving any supplements to put on weight or make it be something that it wasn't already. Let it be more natural. And it's like, I'm looking at all these things. I don't know why I'm guided in this direction, but I am guided in this direction. So I'm just kind of like exploring all of it. But that's all intuitive. It's intuition. It's not, that's what's guiding me. But I'm just deciding that, okay, I'm going to grab that nugget and I'm going to go this way. Oh, look, there's 100% natural cotton fibers, right? Even in our sheets, going from a 1600 count to an 1800 count for the cotton, it's a huge difference. It's more breathable. It's more comfortable, especially in the summertime. So it's like all these things, but we're being guided all the time, but we ignore these things. And then recognizing, talk to Gaia. Hey, Gaia, I like it when the temperatures are in the 60s. Well, it's going to be 67 for the low tonight. It's just being aware of how powerful we are and recognize we're in this space. I'm not saying that you can go out and manipulate all these things, but I'm not saying you can't either, because I'm saying anything is possible as long as we don't have anything that we're pulling on the opposite side of that. One of my dogs lost a tooth running around with one of the other dogs. It was a canine, came back, no tooth. And it's like, I remember in my head, it'll grow back, just like that, it'll grow back. Well, I just let it go, didn't say anything, and all, forgot all about it. And then Freeman tells me last night, Jedi has a new tooth growing in that spot. Now, if you look it up online, they say it's not possible. They say anything is possible. That's my point. Anything is possible. And it's like, as long as we don't put, like Abraham says all the time, Esther Hicks, as long as you don't put something on the opposite end of the stick, you got possibility on one end of the stick and you got, there's nothing. No, it's like, nope, can't happen. I didn't stop to look at it. I didn't stop to dwell on it. I didn't worry about it. I didn't think about it. It was just like, it'll grow back. And it's not that I created it. Maybe Spirit was just saying, it's going to grow back. Don't worry about it. And then let it go. And it's like, this is the things that you can witness and stuff. And those are miracles. Those are miracles according to what people believe right now. And a lot of the beliefs are so limiting. And what does Abraham say? Beliefs are just thoughts that you keep thinking. That's all that it is.
Yeah. When you're talking about the intuition again, I watched a video on, I think it was on TikTok, and it was just a short clip from a police officer's camera. He had stopped a lady for whatever reason. They're standing between the vehicles, and they were on the edge that was the closest to the road, the traffic. And he said, let's move over here, which was right further away from the traffic, over on the shoulder. Not 5 seconds after they moved, a big truck came by and took out her car. And so, when you think about intuition, this is, you think about your medical emergency services. They're very in tune for the most part of their intuition, but they typically don't call it intuition. It's their gut feeling, or something told me.
Spidey senses.
Yeah, that like they become very intuitive in an emergency situation, because they have to be very present in that moment, right? Because lives could be on the line, whatever the scenario might be. And it's like helping people understand that it's not just what we talk about. It's not just the woo-woo stuff, if you want to put it in that category. It's happening with more people than we think. And it's been happening with people on a regular basis for many, many, many years. Many years. I mean, even our caveman ancestors, right? They have to be hyper alert to their senses and their presence because they were always on survival mode of, I might be attacked. I don't know what's in the bushes. I don't know what's on the other side of that boulder. But their intuitive senses would keep them in the present moment and alert for survival reasons. But as we've evolved, we're learning to trust that intuition even more. And like you said, like that telepathic message, hey, I'm thinking about you, I love you, happy birthday, or whatever. And then you call. Like, hey, I was just thinking about you, right? Happens all the time for me, like so many times. Or the opposite is true. I call somebody and they say, oh, I was just thinking about you. I'm like, well, of course you were. That's like not a surprise to me anymore. It's just like, my words for it is all the time. It's so fucking cool. It's so fucking cool because it's so fun.
It really is. And guess what? If we didn't have the contrast of not having it or not recognizing it, we wouldn't be so thrilled about it. Yeah. And it's like, the more thrilled about it we are, it's like you have more and more groups that are just waking up to it without having to do anything. Yeah. It's effortless. It's not an effort, it's effortless.
Absolutely. And the practice is be present. That's the practice.
Yeah.
Be right here, right now. And it sounds so simple. It takes practice.
Yeah, and not beating yourself up too when you miss something, or you didn't, that you didn't listen to the guidance. Yep. It's like, don't beat yourself up. All it is a gauge. Yep. When you beat yourself up, you're just keeping yourself in a place that you're keeping yourself away from all the things that you want. Yeah. So it's like, it's not even, none of it's necessary. There's so much. Life is a freaking blessing. It really is. And you don't realize it until you start enjoying the journey. But when you feel like it's the contrary to that, you you focus on that and you bring more things that align with you, and it makes you right, because that's what you're attracting.
Yeah. So good. I mean,
Awesome.
even the littlest things, for example, at work, I personally don't have any business cards, but we have some generic cards that doesn't have any names on it, but some said grab some cards. So I did. And I was like, oh, I put them in my purse because we were going out and about. And it's not typically, I don't hand out cards, business cards, but I was with my boss and somebody said, oh, do you have a business card? And she's like, oh man, I don't have any with me. Guess who did? Like, just little things like that too. Because on the other side of that, when I didn't listen to those little, what we call little nudges, I'd be like, man, I knew I should have grabbed them.
Yeah.
Right. But when you do that over and over and over and over again, you start to realize you need to listen to these because they matter. So,
And it's little subtle things. It's because it happens all the time. It happens all the time.
yeah.
It might be something like I was at the office and it's like, empty the trash. I'm like, no, I'll get it later. Empty the trash. So I went ahead and grabbed the trash and took it all out and emptied it. So it's like, and then just recognizing, I'm using that as an example, but just recognizing that things are so subtle, and maybe that wasn't a big deal, but it's the big deals that come after that, because now you're listening more and more, and you realize, first of all, you're not alone. You've never been by yourself. You've always been supported. You've had the self the whole time. You just weren't allowing the support. You weren't listening for the support. When I say you, I mean me.
Yeah.
This person.
Me too.
We're so much bigger than where we are right now. We are, and we really are.
We really are. So my friends, listen to your intuition, start listening, start taking the action. Sometimes you don't even know. You don't even know. You're just like, I could have grabbed business cards and put them in my purse and not needed them for 2 weeks, but for whatever reason, grab the business cards, right? It's just those super subtle nudges, and maybe those are just your practice rounds for the bigger things, because when those bigger things come, those really get your attention.
They really do.
So we hope you got something out of this. Just learning to practice, recognizing like this stuff's been around for decades, and it's more and more common. More and more people are talking about it. Multi-millionaire business influencers are talking about intuition. It's the norm now, and it's not something that to hide from or be scared to talk about. Like, it's part of life now with many of us. So use it, use your intuition, listen to it, embrace it. I think is a bigger word, is embrace it, because then you recognize that when you embrace something, it's actually a part of you, and your intuition is a part of you. It's part of your GPS system to help you through life. So we hope that you got something out of this, and that you can have conversations about it. You can plant seeds with other people, and become more comfortable in having these conversations. So any final words?
Make a beautiful day.
Yeah, make a beautiful day. Be sure to share our conversations. And don't keep us a secret, because we are on so many platforms, YouTube, social media, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Podcast Addict, and there's some others that I'm just not thinking of right now, but thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate your time and energy, and we love you, and we hold space for you as you move through this life. Thanks for being here.
See you next time.